Folks, welcome to Drinks, Jokes, and Storytelling. I'm your host, Mark Rigodano. With me, as always,
Richie Byrne. What's up, brother? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. How great was it? We were both out. I always got nervous, when I would bring you out, so I would say your name instead of letting you do it.
Funny. I think it's funny because the last show we did, I complained. I didn't complain, but I mentioned that it's weird now that I'm not out there with you.
Yeah, so it's...
I guess Tom took it as a complaint, and suddenly...
Tom does a great job. He took your note. He ran with it.
I mean, the funny thing is I don't really care. Like, I think you know. My New Year's resolution is to show a little more interest in Drinks, Jokes, and Stories.
Which, funny enough, my New Year's resolution is to do less stand-up, and I'm doing great. I'm killing my resolution. I'm knocking it dead.
But can you tell I'm better? I'm better than I've been the last few shows, right?
Dude, I didn't want to say anything on camera, but the last few times when we were doing a show, you were like,
Yeah, I know.
Richie.
That was really my only real problem was that I kept getting tired easily.
Yeah, I noticed you were fatigued right away, but you weren't too bad with like coughing.
No. New Year's Eve, I went to bed 9:45, dude. I can't remember the last New Year's I missed.
Wow. And you said the other day, though, you were on a treadmill.
Yeah.
And
I just was on a treadmill now before I did the show. So
how long did you do? You said you were like kind of breaking your
2 miles, just trying to get back. I did 2 miles on Monday, 2 miles today. I'm going to try and do 4 days, 2 miles, and then bang it up a mile, like a half a mile every week.
That's great. Man.
I was walking like 5 miles a day, 5 days a week, but then I kind of lost. I've been busy with other things.
Yeah, COVID,
and then I got COVID, and yeah. But that's enough of me. We have like one. We have great.
Yeah, I am so excited. We got a very special guest, and. Do you want to bring him out? Because you guys have a great background and history together.
Yeah, I've known Bobby. We met at Rascals in West Orange, and I actually got my first TV gig because of Bobby.
Yeah,
I don't remember that, but I did. And he's just a class dude. I love him to death. You love him to death. We're so happy to have him, ladies and gentlemen. The one, the only, Bobby Collins.
Hey guys, Mark, how are you? Richie, look at us.
What's going on?
Circus people, carny. Look at us.
We're just a bunch of displaced carnies right now.
No, isn't it? That's what I miss the most. Talking to somebody people were over the house, social distance, out in the back house, and they're talking, and in my head I'm going, I would rather have root canal than stay here and talk to these people. I'd rather be with comics and talking about life, and what's going on and look at our country. It's Jumanji, the reality show going on now at the White House, at the Capitol. Look at this.
I know. Right as we go on the air, they have to do that. They're ruining our ratings.
I know. I feel bad for people watching. It's like there's more excitement going on on C-SPAN right now.
And we're sharing the planet with a lot of different types of people now. We got to start thinning out the herd. The gene pool could use some chlorine.
Yeah.
Oh. COVID was for.
But we need to have it where we all have to take an IQ test, and we get rid of the bottom part of that, not the physically weak.
Right.
We need to get rid of the mentally weak.
You got to remember when you're dead, you don't know you're dead. Other people feel the pain. Same thing when you're stupid.
Oh, that's really true.
My wife said to me, my wife's Italian from Italy, hairy woman. She come on. We vacuum a lot. So she said to me recently, she said, Bobby, you travel around other countries and around the United States for the last 40 years. Are people that stupid here? And I went like this, hello, welcome to the United States.
Oh my God.
Ignorance can be educated. Crazy can be medicated. There's no excuse for stupid.
No.
Yeah.
Right. There's nothing that can be done.
I know. Let them march.
How are you, Bobby? You are one of the true road warriors in this business.
Oh,
And I mean, every time Bobby sells out all over the country, and how hard has it been for you the past year to just have to stop all that? Has it been fun? Has it been like, have you you like seen things that you didn't realize that you've been missing all these years?
no, not at all. I miss it tremendously.
Yeah.
I mean, I matter of fact, I had a very nice sized gig next week in Florida, but I have a special needs child. So my wife looked at me and I said, you know what, I'll cancel it. And it was just for one night on the West Coast. Of course, I called up a couple of friends and they said, nah, Bob, you don't want to come here now. No one wears a mask. It's Florida. They got a governor detest us or some foolishness. I said, all right. So I canceled it yesterday. But, you always, as a comic, you want to get away. My wife looked at me recently and she said, you've been home for 10 months. I go, I know, ready to kill myself.
I actually was just
a lot of things. I've learned a lot of things.
I was down in Florida just right before Christmas. I had to go down and I did a run because I'm out of money. So I have to take every gig. And I went down there and you did the right thing. I got back and was so scared I got COVID. I was so scared.
Really?
Yeah. Nobody wears masks. They don't care.
Well,
you had COVID?
No, Richie did.
Bobby, he went to Florida and got back, and I got COVID. Explain that.
Well, it's because Richie was running a kissing booth out in Long Island.
I know, Rick.
So, hey, Bobby, the way we start every show is something near and dear to us. We like to have a drink. We are going to do a little round the room. Richie, what are you drinking today?
I found this in the back of my refrigerator, and I decided to go with a White Claw hard seltzer. It's 5% alcohol. Have you guys had this yet?
Yeah, you go, girl.
I was totally opposed to it.
Oh, God.
And a friend of mine had it at his house one night, and I loved it. It's really good. It's very refreshing. And it is only 3:00 in the afternoon, boys, here. So it's
God.
Yeah, but Bobby, you're at noon, right?
I'm just waking up, so I'm having coffee.
Okay, all right.
Just having some coffee, but tonight, hey, Bobby, hey, Bobby.
I'm a full-blown alcoholic, so I am going with the Woodford Reserve.
That Woodford's good. Yeah, Woodford's good. Man.
I absolutely love it. The kids just finished school.
You're gonna say finish the bottle.
Well, why do you think it's empty? I only got a little bit left.
Little kids.
My kids.
Where are you, Mark? Where are you?
I'm down right outside of Philadelphia.
Nice. And Richie, you're in?
I'm in Long Island.
And I'm in the most white, privileged, entitled Range Rover Fendi place you've ever seen, called California.
Things are bad out there, though, right, Bobby?
What's that?
Things are bad out there with the COVID.
Yeah. These people, they're not that high up on Brain Mountain out here. Yesterday, they told everyone, they announced in California that they're delaying or postponing the Grammys. We're from New York, Philly. We don't give a shit. These people, oh my God, there's not going to be a red carpet. Oh, could you hear about the Grammys? Oh! They're morons out here.
But you also live in New York. You go on both.
Yes.
You hit both coasts. Are you happy though that you're in California instead of New York with 1,000 people living in your building and?
Yeah, I am. Matter of fact, I just got an email from our building telling us one of the people that work there, one of the doormen or something, they don't name them, got COVID. So that everything's been disinfected. That you got to wear a uniform, you got to wear a hazmat outfit. You got to, hey, you're going
every time you walked in, he'd cough on you. That's how he kept.
But I've learned a lot here. I've learned a lot. You remember when we were kids, you in Philly, you on the island, me in Manhattan, I used to walk around as a little boy. I'd look into those lingerie shops, and I'd look in and I'd see those see-through bras and the see-through panties with the stockings and the garters. And I was like, oh, wow, one day. I went to bed with the wife the other day. She had double flannel pajamas on. She had a knapsack, goggles. Basically, I was going to bed with an Eskimo.
I love it.
It's crazy. She told me, she goes, what happened to your butt? I was going to the shower. I go, what do you mean? You used to have a nice bubble butt. Now it looks like Mitch McConnell's chin. And it just slid right down. Sometimes I have to lift it to wipe. So I don't. This is getting too crazy.
How long have you been married?
35 years.
Wow.
35 happy years. She's the best.
I love, we find a lot of people say stuff like, hey, as a comic, they consider us broken people. They people want to put that label on us. And I find usually the really great comics have normal lives outside of comedy, like married and, happy children, like that kind of stuff. A lot of the great comics, I feel, have a little bit of normalcy.
Well, I think we use comedy as everyone does. We use comedy to hold up a mirror and show the audience themselves. And this last 10 months, we've had to hold up a mirror and take a look at ourselves. Mm-hmm. And some things that people see, we all know comics who've committed suicide. We know comics who are broken, but we've all known people that are like that. And and I think it's just who you are and what you hide. Some people use comedy not to show themselves, but to show the audience another part. And that's why my biggest advice when people ask me about comedy is I tell them, as a comic, let people feel and know who you are standing on the stage. That way, when you do your stuff and laugh, they'll walk away saying, oh, I know this guy. He says a lot. He's the same thing I feel. And then they'll always come back to see it.
Yeah. You're right that we don't hold our mechanics up on a stage and go, okay, tell us your flaws.
Right.
So
talk about them, get over them. Tell us about you being very insecure, when you were a kid, and what did comedy do for you? Well, it helped. I was an insecure little kid in Queens, New York. And I remember all the popular kids, I was athletic, but they were popular because, they knew how to mingle. And I was funny. So I used all that. One, girls like funny. Two, you make people laugh, they accept who you are. And, whether it's on right or left, the Democratic note, you show people the different sides through laughter, and they're more likely to open up their brains and see, oh, there's a different side to this. Maybe I should, people ask me, all the time, do you do politics in your comedy? Of course I do. I'm a comic. You have to not only make people laugh, but hopefully educate.
Yeah.
But you were a good athlete, right? Didn't you
I played basketball in college.
You played basketball against Dr. J?
Yeah.
Boy.
I didn't play against him. I played one day. I was working in Las Vegas and my wife happened to be there. We were laughing and we're walking through by the slot machines, and way in the back by the slot machines, I said, oh my God, see that guy, Jill? I go, that's Julius Erving. She goes, who's that? I go, Dr. J was really, that. And I went over to him and I went, what did his coach used to call him? His coach gave him a name. And I called him that name, Julie. I went, yo, Julie. And he looked up real quick and he started to laugh. He goes, oh, you're the funny guy. Right. I go, how you doing, man? And we played against each other in high school.
Right.
Wow.
Right. Yeah.
That's awesome.
His hands were this long. Yeah. You know how you and I pick up a baseball? He picked up a basketball like it was nothing. I was like, oh my God, I hit the guy next to me on the bench. Look at this guy. Oh my God.
Now, growing up, you talked about humor as growing up. Do you have a joke that sticks out in your head, that the one of the first that made you really laugh, or a joke that stuck with you over the years? Maybe even not as a kid, but.
Well, I don't think it was, no, I think it was just stories. I liked stories. I was never two Jews walk into a bar. Hey, they bought it. No, I was never like that. I liked when people told me stories, or I heard stories about different things. And they made me laugh because it always made you add to it. It made me want to add to it. Like to this day, when people tell me things, I go, you add to it and then make them laugh a little harder.
Right.
Yeah.
I grew up in an Irish family where every story was told again and again.
Right.
And was always added on to. It was always like an amazing, after 20 years of that story being told, like that story was just funnier than it ever could be.
Right.
A complete lie.
What was the name? I'm trying to remember the name. I wrote it down the other night. I was watching On the Waterfront. Remember? With Marlon Brando?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the name of the girl he was calling?
Eva Marie Saint?
No. What was the name of? He was not Adrienne. That was in the other movie.
Oh wait, you mean the name of the character?
Yeah.
Hold on, I'll look it up.
Get it only if we had a device where we could look this thing.
I know. Look what we have now. I'm AOL. I don't know what the hell this is.
Hold on, Bobby's going to get out his.
It's Edie Doyle, right?
Tom, stay out with
they
us.
hollered out in the movie.
Edie Doyle, no?
No,
I think it is Edie Doyle. Hold on.
So Richie's going to look up on Google. Tom's going to look up on Bing, and
Right,
Bobby,
and
go to your
gonna
encyclopedia. Let me get the Encyclopedia Britannica. It might know.
Yeah, you're right. Tom's right. Edie Doyle. Edie was her name.
And it was Edie.
No, you know what you're talking? Are you talking about Stella? Streetcar Named Desire?
Yes.
Stella.
Yes.
I knew where you were going.
See? 5 minutes left in the movie. I don't watch TV much. I'm 5 minutes. I'm loving it. And she goes, Bobby, come on, the reveal's on. Turn the reveal. I go, what's the reveal? She goes, HGTV. Lover listed. They're going to reveal what the new place looks like. I go, yeah, but Adrian, they're going to want on the waterfront. No, Bobby, turn it. Oh! Everything's changed. Everything. Remember sex? Remember sex when we were? Yeah, look at us older guys. But now I gave her the look. I gave her the look the other night. We went upstairs. I went, oh yeah, pandemic and all. Let's do it. I got on top of her. She was like, Bobby, my back. I said, okay, get on top of me. Sciatica, my legs, sciatica. Now we sleep in the same bed, different pillows, and we gurgle at each other. Come on, honey, want to go get something to eat from the refrigerator? It's all changing.
So growing up in Queens, when did you realize you wanted to do stand-up as a profession? Like, when did you get started?
I used to watch. My mother was a waitress, and my father would travel almost an hour and a half to 2 hours every day, going to and from subways, buses into Manhattan, downtown. And I remember the only thing I'd be lying on the floor watching television, and I'd turn around on the couch and see them, and they'd either watch on Tuesday nights the Red Skelton show, or on Sunday nights the Ed Sullivan show. And anytime a comic came on, they were all, and I'd see them laughing, and I'd turn around and I said, I can do this. Wow. And that motivated me. And then I started going to those clubs, like on dates. I remember going to Catch a Rising Star up on 77th Street. And I would take a date. And after 3 comics, she'd say, Bobby, let's leave. I go, no, here's your cab money. I'm going to stick around. I got to watch this. I can do this. That type of thing.
I should let you know, I moved out of Queens, but the N train still doesn't run, so it's still 2-hour commute.
It's still broken down. I know. I know. And then you'd stand on the platform and look down. You saw rats bigger than dogs. You know.
So when you got out of high school, what profession did you go into? That then you were going to these comedy clubs and going on dates.
I got out of high school. I went to college, and I became a teacher.
You were a teacher?
I taught up in. I left the University of Buffalo, but when I was still graduating, the local school district asked me if I would like to become a teacher, and it was sure. And I did it for a year, and it was a captive audience, 35 kids. And I had such a laughing crazy, and I got in trouble a lot.
What grade was it?
Oh, it was 12th grade. It was They were elected.
Mm-hmm.
And they would go to concerts, and because my friend, what's his face, the two guys that ran, one of them's up on charges now.
That narrows it down to almost everybody.
The two brothers, the one that's up on charges. He was from Buffalo. He ran that company here in California. They always show him walking through.
The producers, Mark, the guy who got. Why am I blanking on his
Weinstein.
name? Weinstein.
Harvey and his brother.
They're from Buffalo.
I worked with them, and they'd always say to me, because they were from Buffalo, and they'd say, "Bobby, can you grab 3 of your hippie friends for?" And we'd stand on the stage, in front of the stage. I got to see free concerts, and we'd stand there and say, "Hey, you can't go off." Sure, you can move around. Go ahead, do whatever you want. But we would stand there, and he would hire him. What was his name? Harvey Weinstein. I know, and his mother and father was the name of his company. What was the name? I forgot. See, look at that.
I got you. I'll find this. Don't worry, guys. So now this leads us into some great stories. So you have so many amazing stories. I know a lot of them are already documented. If you want
Miramax.
Mary and Mac was his mother and father.
Right. Sorry, Tom.
No worries.
That was good. Look at us.
I'm waiting for just blood to shoot out of one of our foreheads from thinking too hard.
No, because if we fart or blood comes out, then it's COVID. Sorry, Rick.
Yeah, I'm very upset, Bobby. Put the book back. That's really cool.
Oh, so now if you want to hear all of the stories that Bobby, Richie, and Mark have forgotten, check out On the Inside by Bobby Collins. And we have a new book coming out, If They Can Remember the Names, by Bobby Collins.
That and everything in between.
Fantastic. I think it's in the title, but what's the book about?
It's all the lessons I've learned in life as a traveling comedian, things that I learned about people. To this day, I look at my daughter and I said, you're fighting with your friend. You're not going to realize that when you get older, that's not going to be your friend anymore. All those friends, you're not going to move along with them. You're going to see they take different directions, and you learn from it and let them go. It's okay. You'll make new friends. And if not, keep moving. God first, family second, career third. Put one ahead of the other. You always got to get on where you got off.
Somebody's checking to see if your car warranty's up.
Yeah.
It's Bobby.
Hi, this is Bobby. Yeah, this is Covert.
So you're in Buffalo. You're teaching. You do about a year teaching. And
I left. I knew it was time. I got in trouble twice, but they loved me.
What'd you do?
Asked me, one of the kids raised their hand. Hey, that whole Kennedy assassination, or do you think that was I go, no. Definitely a conspiracy. Then the kid went home and told his parents, and the principal would call me in. We were.
You're like the cool teacher on the Wonder Years, and then the kids show up and they're like, "Where'd Mr. Collins go?" What happened?
No, I liked it. I liked teaching, but I needed a bigger audience. So I went back into Manhattan and got it. I started to work for Calvin Klein. I got a job with Calvin Klein.
Wow.
which in the Garment Center, 1400 Broadway. But at night, every night, I would be performing at the local Good Times, Catch a Rising Star, the Improv,
Yeah.
So who are some of the contemporaries when you started that you started with? Not the ones that were like getting the headlining spots, but you and who else kind of came in as the young guys?
Oh, the young guys were Jerry Seinfeld, myself. Ray came in late, a little bit later. Who else?
You guys were like the second wave of killers then. Like you
Yeah, the
guys.
first wave, like I would watch Richard Belzer, and I'd watch those guys get up. And
What
Chico
about
the Man? What was his name?
Which guy?
Freddie Prinze?
Freddie Prinze. I'd watch, and I'd go. You can go home. Yeah, I'm going to watch Chico and the Man. Freddie Prinze. I'd watch. All those guys would stop in, and it was just a pleasure to see. And these were the guys I looked up. I was like, well, I can do this. And I remember signing up. What do I do? Well, you got to sign your name up. You got to wait online, get a ticket. I remember the first time I was number 12. I didn't know on Monday nights when you get your number, I thought you do your 5 minutes, your 6 minutes all in a row. No, the first one guy goes up, then somebody stops in, Robin Williams will stop in. He does 25 minutes. Right. Then the next comic will stop. Then the next one, Richard Belzer will do a half hour. Then another guy. And I'm going, by the time I went on, they were cleaning the guys that were cleaning the men's room and the waiters were,
Sun's coming up. And
I know. Wow.
So you start busting your ass in New York. You're getting up on stage. What's I know there's it's a million little steps, but what felt like the first break where you went like, okay, I'm a professional now?
I finished a set at Catch a Rising Star, and it was fun. It was fun. It was a good set. And I was becoming, I was doing all the local places from Philadelphia to northern New Jersey to Long Island and then this one guy came over to me, an old man, and he handed me his card and he said, "Hey, have your agent give me a call." And I said, "You mean my parents?" I was fooling around. He goes, "No, have." And there was an agency, ICM at the time, that was very interested in me. Remember, they didn't sign you until they knew somebody was
make money.
Yeah. So I handed the guy the card, and now he's president of ICM. I found that out recently. And I handed him the card, and he said, "Bobby, where'd you get this?" I go, "Some old guy was leaving the club." And it turned out to be Cher and Frank Sinatra's manager.
Wow.
Whoa.
And he called me up 2 days later, and he said, one, he wanted to sign me, and two, pack my bags because I was going on an 88-city tour with Cher.
Wow.
And the money, remember, I was making $15 a set.
Right.
If I got to New Jersey, it was $150.
Hey, and the money hasn't gone up in the city either. The train still broke. The money's the same.
Now they cut out the meals. You don't get a meal anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you don't.
So now, was this the same time? Were you before or after when Richard Lewis was opening for Sonny and Cher? Were you guys?
This was probably after.
This was just Cher, right? This was just Cher.
This was Cher, and then
okay, yeah, because I love history of comedy so much, and you also opened for Sinatra for a while, right?
Sinatra, Julio.
How great was that? Like, I mean, just is there anything that just sticks out hanging with those guys?
Well, I got a call because we had 3 weeks off from Cher, and they said to me, "Hey, listen, what's his name? The comic that opens for normally Sinatra. He's out here in Tom Dreesen.
Yeah.
Tom was sick or something." They said, "Would you open for Frank?" I go, "It's a business. How much?" And they told me, and I go, "Absolutely." And like my wife and all the Italians, they think Frank Sinatra is the god. I wasn't brought up like that. I was like, it's a job, show business. So they flew me right over to Salt Lake City. And I remember getting off the plane and Jilly, his guy, big 6'8" guy,
Yeah.
picks me up and he says, Mr. Collins, okay. He goes, all right, don't call him Frank. Refer to him as Mr. Sinatra. Don't talk to him unless he talks to you. Oh, my God, all these rules. And I'm thinking, yeah, okay. And we get to the show, and the show's going to start in about an hour. And he's got I'm in the back room. He's on the head of the table. And all these people, and they were all named after parts of the body. Bobby, this is Tony the Foot. This is Peter the Arm. I'm Mr. Foot. I'm Mr. Arm. I'm being a gentleman. I need the money. And then I remember the phone rang, and all his people would open it. And I remember one hey, boss, it was then in New Jersey where he started. What was the name of the city?
Hoboken.
Yeah, he goes, that stripper that worked at Hoboken, she wants to know if she can get 2 tickets. He was like, yeah, give her a couple of tickets. All right. And then the phone rang and he picked it up. They all stopped because he obviously never picks up the phone. And I'm sitting not that far from him. And I hear the guy, can we have the substar, the opening up? Can we have the substar come out for a sound check? He goes, he's a fucking comedian. Just put the sound on. And he hung up. He looked at me. He goes, you okay with that? I went, sure, no problem. We're good. And then after the show, quick add-on, after the show, I'm upstairs changing, putting, my jeans and stuff on. And his guy, Jilly, comes in. He goes, hey, the boss enjoyed your set. He wants to join us. He wants you to join us for dinner in Chicago. We're going to fly over. And I was like, I was going to the local comedy club in Salt Lake, to be the big shot. And I said, I'll fly over there tomorrow. And he goes, maybe you didn't hear me, That came out.
He's going to tell you to put the sub-comic on. Put the subhuman.
Yeah, the substar. So I said, sure, let's go. And I remember going, we flew. Police escorts would take us everywhere. We get on the private plane. We go to Chicago. It was like an hour and a half flight. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. We go to the pump room. There's no one's there. It's about 12 of us. All of a sudden, I'm eating. Who walks in? Don Rickles.
Wow.
Don Rickles, they're buddies. He leans over to me and he goes, hey, he really liked what you did, kid. You did a great job. I go, thank you. And he sat down and they're fooling around laughing. And I remember I was watching what they tipped the waiters. They tipped the waiters more than I got paid that night.
Wow.
You should have been slanging sandwiches, Bobby.
Thank you. Wow.
Yeah,
That's
like
one
what
of
the
the
waiter
stories
did
I
better.
wrote in the new book. Great road stories.
Oh, I
And
love
that's
it.
They wanted the waiter to come out to do a sound check.
I know. Isn't that crazy? But some of it was, the best. You learned a lot as a comic coming up. Because remember, we were used to working those little stages and looking at people. But you work with the first show with Cher was 32,000 outdoor concert.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my. You talk about sweat. Sweat from my armpits were half my underwear on the side was wet. And she was an hour and a half late.
Really?
Hour and a half late. It's an outdoor show. It was supposed to be at 4 o'clock. They're hanging from trees. They're all Cher. Ladies and gentlemen, please. Oh, they start cheering. Please welcome comedian Bobby Collins. Boo, boo. Right? And I'm starting to come out. And after about 2 minutes, I said, listen, I have to be out here for 25 minutes. So we can either sit back and have some fun or you can boo me. And they sat back. By the time I got off, they were cheering. They were clapping hard, standing up. I go, thank you. I walked up, sopping wet.
Yeah.
See, now when you started the story and they were booing, I was going to ask, were you in Philly? But then you said they started cheering by the end, so you weren't in Philly. Where were you? Where was the? Did you say where it was?
Where it was with Cher?
Yeah, that I mean, just the first time opening for.
Oh no, the first time opening was like Minnesota outdoor thing like that.
Oh.
The next night we were on Long Island at Jones Beach Theater, so I felt very comfortable in that home.
Nice.
Yeah, we kicked some ass.
Bobby, what is it like to be to sit at a table like there's A-listers and then there's Sinatra. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
right.
like that had to be overwhelming to some degree to have to sit there and like, were you worried? Don't say the wrong thing. Don't say anything. If I, or were you just like, fuck it, whatever happens, happens kind of thing?
No, I felt comfortable. I felt, it's like being here sitting with us, except Tom. And Tom, I'm kidding you. I think the world of you.
As I do you.
Remember, I was with Dolly. I was with Cher. I was with the Pointer Sisters. And there's one of them there that I didn't like that's pretty well known. We don't have to mention her name, but
oh, really?
Yeah. They this person was working for the first time. They asked me if I would go over and open in the Caesar's Palace in Atlantic City.
Mm-hmm.
I kind being it's a business. I said, sure, how much? And they told me, I go, sure. And she was very nervous about being she was used to country stuff, So for her to go to Atlantic City, that to her was going to like, it's Jersey, it's New York, come on.
Yeah.
And I had a ball, I had a ball. And then when I got off the stage, I was upstairs. I watched her a little and I said, wow, look at that. She's real. But I went up to change and her girl came up to me and said to me, Mr. Collins, we really enjoyed your show. I go, thank you. And tomorrow night was the next show. And she said, we'd like you to cut back a little, tone it down. And at first I said, why, did I swear or something like that? Did a shit fly out or something? She, no, we just want you to. And then I realized what she was really saying.
Right.
And, they were saying, you're not the main act. She is. So we would like you to tone. And wow. I don't want to be around that. So the next night I went there and I said hello to all the guys in the band who were from Nashville. And they gave me the cold shoulder. And I went, hey, guys, great show last night. You know how we are. And they were like, yeah, thanks. And just turned their heads and stuff. And I did the show again. And then after I did it, her girl came over to me and asked me, would Dolly really enjoyed your show? And
well, it's out now.
Dolly Pointer.
That's it. And she'd like to, they'd like to know if you'd like to, for the next 2 to 3 weeks we have. And I said, oh, no, I have engagements. I have personal stuff, things to do. And the money was good too. And then my agent called me from there and he said, what are you doing? They want you. They really, and I said, and I told him what had happened. And he said, oh, okay. And I said, no, I'll pass. Don't worry about it. And then the funny thing is she wrote a book like 8 months later. And one of the acknowledgments was the comedian Bobby Collins.
Wow.
Which I guess if you turn people down, because she came over to me after the show and she goes, I heard you're not going to come with us. I go, no, I want you to open for me. You had to come. And she goes, oh, we really enjoy it. So you learn different things from different people.
Yeah.
Now, did you have a difficult transition? Because like now you're Bobby Collins and you're very comfortable as Bobby Collins. But when you were a young comic and you first started getting these big gigs, I mean, the first time going in with Cher, were you just nervous as can be, or were you backstage, joking around and being the guy we know you as?
I learned really quick because from playing the clubs and you're usually like this, hey, what's your name? Now you're playing and everybody out there wants to feel as if you're speaking to them. So now I walk the stage, I go to this end and I pick my head up and I'm talking and laughing with them. They feel like, oh, he's with us, rather than the stage and, hey, like that. Where you from? What you do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The big difference, a learning experience. And I like the way they treat it, like with Cher. She would get with her singers and her band and they'd all hold hands. Bobby, get over here. And they'd all hold hands and put their head down and say a prayer. Remember, these people are working real hard. They work hard and they're spending their hard-earned money to come out and see us. Let's give them the best show ever. Oh, what that? Hey, how nice is that?
I
Yeah.
love that.
You know, Julio is like that too. Julio is the
But with more chest hair.
yeah. Right.
I love hearing this so much in this side of show business because I mean you're at a different level, so maybe you don't have this experience. But I work with so many comics, and they're just so jaded and trying to be cool, and they almost don't care about the audience, and it's not about putting on a show.
Keep in mind, even in the first book, I did a chapter. The cream rises to the top, and shit floats for a while, then it sinks. Yes, there's a lot of shit out there, and we know it, and we see it. Like what you're saying, jaded, this, that. But you know, when I heard comics get like that, I always was noted for the one I do my set and go to another club and do my thing. You know, if I go down to the Comedy Cellar, then I'll run over to here, then I'll run over to there, just to work on my stuff. You know, and I never got involved with that. And sometimes I felt bad because I wasn't invited. Oh, Bobby's a good, really good comic, but he never hangs around. He never hangs around. I wasn't like that. I wasn't like, didn't want to hear stories and the crap. It's, you know.
But do you think that hurt you, like during the whole course of it all, or do you think you stayed out of a lot of negativity for not being one of the guys that hangs out and drinks and goes about it?
I think I stayed away from things and I stayed high. You know, to this day, I still have once in a while a comic will come over to me in a club or someone if I stop in to work on something. Usually, if I have a theater on a Saturday night, and say if I'm in New York City, Friday I'll do a couple of sets at the Cellar to work on a new bit that I'm doing. And sometimes the comic will say, hey, Bobby, can I ask a favor? Sure. Can you watch my set and tell me if there's anything? I go, sure. You know, you'd be nice. You owe your fellow comics. But then some of them get, well, I don't like what you told me. And I go, well, then don't ask, you know.
Yeah. Don't solicit me for advice and then get mad at the advice.
One guy, a really nice guy, he had a long haired, a beard. And he said to me, Bobby, I go, boy, you're funny. You got a nice. He goes, yeah, but I'm not feeling from the audience what you get. And I said, well, because you're covered up. Shave. You're hiding behind yourself. Shave. Dress nicer. Remember, an audience is sitting out there looking up to you. They're literally looking up. You're above them. So when somebody looks up to people, they want to see you dress nice. They want an example of what they can be or should be. And they want to laugh and enjoy you. They're going to see you come. Well, the next thing you know, I didn't see the guy for about 8 months, and I ran into him, clean shaven, dressing with like a jazz sports jacket. And he looked at me and goes, I want to thank you. He goes, I really felt the difference. And oh my God, you helped me. And I said, you were hiding behind yourself, you know. Well, we all do things in different ways.
I'm right here, Bobby.
Shut up. Bobby, I hear you.
You should really teach a business class in comedy because you have so many great. I mean, just listening to you, and I mean, I haven't been doing it as long as Richie or yourself, but no matter where you are in your career, you can learn from what you're saying right now. I think it's so awesome, and I also. In your book, I love how you deal with shitty business people who try to screw over comics. You do a lot of good for the little guys. And I
have another example, a big example. You know, when you're married and you have a couple of kids, and you know, a guy came over to me like 24 years ago. It's a big chapter. It's called The Money Game. And a guy came over to me and he said to me, hey, Bobby, can I tape your show and, you know, do a CD with it? This was the CD years. And I said, sure. He goes, sign this contract, read it over, And I signed it. I'm like, wow, this is what happened. And unbeknownst to me, he came to me like 6 months later and he said, Bobby, can we do a couple of more? I go, yeah, give me one of those contracts. And he said, no, we're doing so well. Let's do a handshake. And me being naive and very naive and stupid, even my wife said to me at the time, who was my girlfriend, said to me, I don't trust that guy. He looks seedy. I go, honey, they're all from Hollywood. They all look seedy out here. They come across with a big smile, but Well, unbeknownst to me, he stole all my copyrights. So
What?
yeah, so for 5 CDs, and I called up Sound Exchange, who pays us,
Yeah.
and I said to them, I said, hey, let me
They're
ask you.
keeping me alive right now during this pandemic.
Thank God. Thank
Oh.
God. I said to them, I said, I was told that the artist gets 45% and that you guys get 50%, and that the guy who put it together, the guy who stole from, gets 5%. He goes, who told you that? I go, well, what is it? He goes, the artist gets 45%, the copyright owner gets 50%, and we, Sound Exchange, gets 5%.
Wow.
So I made at that point over 380,000 at 45%. So take 50% of that would have been 400 and something the guy took from me.
Wow.
Yeah. So it wasn't until then I took him to court. We sued him. You settle for pennies, you settle for nothing. And oh my
Do you at
God.
least have your copyright?
Yes, I have all my copyrights.
Oh, that's great.
But it took a year and a half and a lot of money for attorneys.
Wow.
But I wasn't, I'm
Expensive
from New
lesson.
York. Right is might. You're not going to let people fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
One of your chapters in your book, I love your book so much, man.
thank you.
I love when you go after the crooked club owners.
Oh,
I love it. And I just adore the one story where you I don't want to give too much away because I want you to tell the story. But there was a club owner who was notorious for bouncing checks and screwing over the comics and not paying them, and you figured out a way.
That. Oh,
You know what's funny, Mark? You haven't narrowed it down at all.
I know there's
Wow.
there's like 20 people I could say this fits.
But go ahead, Bobby. Tell the story.
well, I got a call for a date. I was living in California. That means it's plus 500 air hotel, About 2 days before I got my ticket and everything, he calls me up and he says, well, we can't pick you up at the airport. I go, what do you mean? It's part of the deal, ground transportation. Can't do it. So I took a cab, but back then a cab to Connecticut,
Yeah.
Connecticut was like $50. Now it would be $280,
Yeah.
And I took it, I got there, and I showed up at the door, and he greeted me. Hey, it's crowded, and I said, "How we looking?" He says, "Oh, we're doing good. We're doing real good." I said, "Oh, great." And he's telling me we're sold out tonight, 2 shows, and tomorrow 2 shows. And he said to me, "By the way, I'm going to have. Can I get you the name of your? I don't remember the name of your agent because I don't like the way that da 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 da." And I said, "Well, you're gonna." I don't know, remember it so well, but I said to him, "Well, you can. Here's his phone number. They're never going to catch him on a Saturday. You know what I mean."
Yeah.
So I gave it to him, and I went back and I thought about it for a while, and I said, "You know what? This guy's a crook." So I went down to him and I said, "Listen, I spoke to my people and they told me for you to pay me up front," because he was knocking like $2 to $3 grand off.
Right.
Ooh.
And he said, "If I'm going to do this, you got to pay me up front, and you could talk to him again. Here's his number, but I'm going to go back up to what do you mean? The show's starting in a half hour." "Well, you guys settle it. I don't get involved in that." "Well, that's fucked up." I go, "I'll be up in my room." Before I left, he says, "Come on." Takes me into his office, paid me, got the cash, got the money for the 2 nights, for the 2 shows for the first night. So the next day, that night, I had already got my called a cab, and that's when you had late night flights. Remember those flights you could take at 12:20 back to California? I got in my cab and I went right back, picked up my luggage and left. Never showed up Saturday night. 2 shows sold out. The wind up with the story is, fast forward 4 or 5 years, I go to a restaurant with my special needs daughter, in her wheelchair, and he's the manager of the restaurant in New York City.
Oh
And he
my
comes
God.
over to me and he goes, "Hey, Bobby, you're the only guy that ever screwed me." I go, "No, you screwed yourself. You changed the terms for my salary and you changed the terms of my ground transportation. We don't do this. That's not honorable. And he goes, well, you're the only one that ever. I go, you screwed yourself. And I got up and I took my daughter and I go, let's get out of here. And he says, well, that's fucked up. I go, watch your language in front of my daughter. You know?
Wow, that's just such great justice.
Well, there are a lot of them like that, you know.
Yeah, but there's a lot of guys.
What?
You go. I was going to say there's a lot of guys like me who end up always getting screwed, and to hear the story of the artist winning is such a awesome.
Yeah, but always get it in writing. You know what I mean? Always get. I learned that valuable lesson, and it was hard because they, you know, there's a money game. That guy that stole all that money from me, his lawyer, and that they've done it to 5 to 6 other comics, well-known comics, and they usually drop out because comics don't want to keep paying $100,000 for an attorney. They settle for nothing, and they know that they're going to settle for nothing. 40,000, 50, so they walk.
But
So they can get out. But this prick, he held up my daughter's special needs Social Security money. He froze my wife's account. I mean, they know how to do it. They know how to play the money game for money. Wow. They don't know karma. They don't know what we learned in life. What goes around comes around. They don't know that you put it out the right way, it'll come back the right way. They're out to fuck people, and they're going to eventually get fucked themselves.
Do you feel like you've gotten like a like almost a sense of it? Like you have a radar for like when you shake a person's hand, you feel like if they're the type of person that will do the right thing or won't do the right thing pretty early? Like you start to see it in the business?
Yes.
Yeah, but you still can be wrong, right, Mark?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's why get it in writing. Yeah. Whatever your deal is. Well, I'm making $250. I'm driving. Put it in writing. Because then when you get there and you go, you know, we didn't do that well, so I can only give you 100. But you told me 250. Being a comic and want to go back. Remember when you first started and you want to go back? Or you go, well, okay. What a prick. You know? No. Pass it around to other comics. This guy screwed me. He'll screw you.
Yeah. You want to hear a funny story about him? A Friday night. I was doing a Friday night, one-nighter for him. And it was a new place. And all that bullshit. Hey, can you help me out? It's only $300, but you know all that shit. It's a new place and blah blah blah. All right. The day of the gig, they canceled the gig. They didn't have anybody. Nobody was. They had no advanced sales or whatever. Maybe whatever. So he cancels the gig, and I'm like, well, you're gonna send me half, right? No. I'm like, well, I want half.
Right.
No, he didn't pay me a fucking thing. Now. There was nothing in writing, but that's kind of the old school way of working in comedy. Right. There's no show. I didn't have to leave the house. I'll send you. We're talking about $150, Bobby, by the way.
Yeah.
Wow. I bitched for years to my manager going, how do I fix this with Richie? And she would go, send him $150. He wouldn't send. He kept complaining that I hate that Richie and I don't talk anymore. It's very simple. Send me $150, and I never worked for him again over. And he kept saying, "I can't believe he's not going to work for me over $150." I'm like, "Fuck you! I'm not working for him."
Yeah, just $150. So just send it. It's that easy.
That's why my last thing in my contract always says if it should be canceled for whatever reason, whether it be him canceling because of weather, because they'll try to do that too. Weather, pandemic, this, that. The artist gets 50% pay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I make sure, you know, and it only happened once where they canceled the gig and they sent me the whole amount. I thought that was showing a lot of integrity.
Yeah.
I actually was a good. Go ahead, Tom.
Sorry, I was gonna say there's got to be a lot of good guys out there too that do the right thing. Like it's
there are,
right?
We're
so
comics. We're always talking about the pricks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Bobby, we worked in Myrtle Beach together. That was 2 of the greatest club owners ever.
Oh, they're so nice.
I love Jeff and Christine. They're just. I would go down and do anything they needed, and I love Cooter.
Cooter.
Who doesn't love Cooter?
Hey, Bobby, you want to play golf tomorrow? No, Cooter. I don't play basketball. We don't play golf. Shut up.
I actually, a friend of ours, I had a gig booked with Joe Starr at this little place in Connecticut. It's a theater up in Connecticut. And the owner of the place screwed up the dates and booked You guys know the band Papa Chubby?
No.
Yes. Yeah.
So
I
they
love it.
booked him and screwed up the date, and Joe couldn't do the other date, and I still sent him the full amount out of my own pocket, even though all I did is connect the two, but I still paid him because I don't want that bad juju out there.
Right. And it will go around. It will go around.
Right.
And it was funny because he sent a text like, "You mean to tell me I'm not getting paid?" I go, "It's already in your Venmo, buddy. Like, I already sent you the money." And he's like, "Oh, I thought I was going to have to fight someone for money." And I'm like, "No, I'm a comic too. I know."
Tom, that's Venmo. I have no idea.
No, I got you, Bobby. I got you. I'll write the check. Send it to my Venmo.
Bobby, did you ever watch Star Trek?
Yes.
You know the little device. Venmo's just like the little device where I go, "Send Bobby money," beep, and it'll go. It just appears in your account. It's the craziest shit.
God. I just canceled the gig for next week, and it really bothered me to cancel. But it was good money gig, a nice salary. But I canceled it, and I don't know. This is a time though where I haven't had an agent in 14 years.
Wow.
Because they were screwing me left and right. I mean, I'd go to gigs and they'd say to me, "Hey, we tried to get you like 4 times." I go, "You're kidding." They go, "Yeah." And I go, "What were you paying?" They go, "We were paying you 10 grand for a Tuesday night."
What?
They never came to me and told me that. A Tuesday night, any of us, I'd fly cross country to work for 10 grand.
I'll walk across
you
the
don't wanna know
country
what I
right
made for
now.
10 grand on a Tuesday night.
What was the reasoning? Did they say why they didn't?
Well, they wanted more money. Bobby doesn't accept that a small amount. You'd have to have more money. So they were doing it. The agency was doing it on the money. That's when I was hosting VH1 Stand Up Spotlight. I was the skirts guy, all the commercials, and I would have done it for $11.65. But we're comics. You know what I mean? And after I heard that 4 or 5 times from different places, I called up the agency and my agent there, and I said, "You know what?" I go, and I wrote him a nice letter, and see how I did it? I wrote him a nice letter saying it was time for me to move on, and da-da-da. He called me up, pissed off. He goes, "You're firing me?" I go, "No, I'm just going to move on. It's time for me to." And he goes like this, "We don't do that in this business, Bobby. We don't do that." I go, "Yeah, well, you should have told me about those gigs." I didn't say that to him.
Right.
I was like, no, he knew what it was about.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what's so funny is I come from a background. So like before all this podcasting stuff, I come from a gambling background, right? So my businesses all encompass like gambling and game room stores and this and that. So all of that stopped on March 13th. I moved over here. It's funny, I've never been in the realm of stand-up comedy, but with gamblers, your word is everything. So if you don't keep your word on a handshake and a speech, you're ruined as a person. So
Right.
I've been blessed enough to be in a realm of like really high level people that when I was out in Vegas, these top tier poker players, they have that sense where if you're full of shit, they smell
good point.
it like
That's a good point.
right away. They smell shit out the gate and they smell a good person out the gate.
Right.
So it's funny, you'll go out with these guys and I was out in Vegas one time for 14 days. Day 3, right? We go broke. I have a crazy roulette story, right? So much money. I've never lost so much money in 58 seconds. It's crazy. We were just betting red or black. So it started out, we were like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put $200 each on one color after it comes 16 times one way. So we put it up. So it's 400 misses. 800 misses, 1600 misses, 3200 misses, 6400. Sorry, sir, the table maximum is 3500. Sorry, 3500 misses, 3500 again misses. Now I'm out of chips. I turn around. I'm like, "Give me your money," to one of my friends. He's like, "Here you go." Gives it, misses. I'm like, somebody bet on fucking black. As I'm walking away, black hits, right? I'm like, "Why would you give me that much money? Now I owe you 3500. He's like, "Look at the size of you. You're 6'4", and you're in like the Leonardo DiCaprio Basketball Diaries like fiending stage of heroin. You tell me give me it, I'm giving you it." I said, "This fucking guy." So I was like, "All right, let's go." So we go back up. Now we go out. Now it didn't break me financially, but it broke my cash that I had on me for the trip. And I have 11 more days out of 14 to go. So now we go out. One of the professional poker players like, "You have to come to my house." we have they call it the Gen Fest. They bet on everything. So it's guys like me who are normal guys betting $50, $20, $100 a bet, and guys that bet legitimately. One of the guys stood up from a poker game with betting $50 each. Is like, who wants to play 9-ball for 10,000 a point? Somebody's like, I'll take you, and they go play it. So now, and there was a rock scissors paper tournament, $2,000 a man, right? $2,000 a man, rock scissors paper. That's all you had to do. Best of 3 wins. So we become cool in that essence, and they like. It's funny because these same guys that are betting that much, it doesn't matter the amount. It's more about like who you are as a person and your word. Now, when I deal with comedians, it's funny because most comedians are such good guys. Like you see, like they're willing to work with everybody, but the people behind the comedians tend to. Yeah, but there's got to be like those couple good ones. Like I'm all about like clinging to that like little bit of. There's still good guys everywhere. You just got to find them.
There are.
Yeah.
I'm just, I've been getting a lot of calls from a few different agencies because a lot of them they let a lot of people go, and from CAA to ICM to some other one, I don't know. They called me up, Bobby. You're a pretty good moneymaker, and we'd like to work with you. And I'd say, okay, why don't we do this? Why don't we, for the first 6 months, see what you bring in? I'll give you the 10%, but let's see where you can bring in. And if we can work together, then I'll sign. One of them said, oh, we don't work like that. I go, then you take care of yourself. And when you do, change your mind, give me a shot. And then don't let these, you're the talent.
Yeah.
So, it's funny you're talking about the gambling and it being I heard a great story from Bob Kincaid, and he was with the Blue Collar guys when they were on tour, and they all had their own private jet, and they would fly city to city on their own personal jets. And he goes, these guys were in the green room betting $50 on who would get to Cincinnati first. They're getting on a private jet, but they're only betting $50 for the race. And he goes, and they're bribing like doormen to try to hold up Ron White. Here's $300.
Right.
Try to hold him up and they're spending more money to win the $50.
Yeah, because it's more about your word than it's about the money. It's not about the money. The money is like something that don't get me wrong. It's about the money on some occasions.
So betting is about the story.
Well, it's also about character. It's the character of the person.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you don't, they don't learn. That's why they're always going to be small-time club owners. I work 4 or 5 clubs a year, and otherwise it's theaters and casinos and privates. But, Governors on Long Island, the Comedy Castle in Detroit, the Boca Black Box down in Florida, or what's the other one? I don't know. There's another one.
Myrtle Beach, we got to work together there.
Oh, that's your vacation.
Yeah, they're just such great people.
They put you up across the street. I got to be on the stage in about a minute and a half. I'll walk across. And they're such good people. You want to work for good people. They're straight ass.
So all right. So now that we've established as good people, give us from the new book. Give us one of the worst people. You could change the names because I know you don't like to give names, but tell us like one of your best stories from the new book before it comes out, just so people know what it's all about.
And where can they find the book?
Well, they can't find it yet because it's 15 chapters and I've done 10, but now I got me and my girl that I work with, we're editing it, the last 5. So it should be done in about a month.
What about the
It'll
first?
definitely be out on BobbyCollins.com. So if you look at the bottom of the screen right now, HTTPS, BobbyCollins.com. If you want to get the old book, if you want to get some of these CDs or DVDs that
he now has the rights to.
No, it was a good one. Here's a good one you'll like. You talk about scumbag people. I still play basketball every Wednesday night here in California with a bunch of the local guys. Some of them played college like me. Some of them didn't, but they're good ball players, young, old. It's so funny because I'm one of the old guys now. I remember going down to a local place and they said, hey, pick the old guy. He could shoot. I looked around. I'm the old guy. Right?
Well, shit, they're talking about me.
I know. And we're sitting there, and I've been playing with these guys pretty close to 20 years. I don't know them that well, but they're real good, nice guys. Everyone seems nice. And I'm sitting on the side, and I'm going, oh, God, I got to get an attorney for this stuff. I don't know how this shit works. And two of them are attorneys. And they go, well, what was it about? And I told them about this guy stealing my copyrights. And they said, one guy who I've known there seemed like a nice guy. I don't know much about him. And he goes, Bobby, I'll do it for you on a what was it basis? And a
pro bono?
No, what do they call it? Where they get 1/3 if they win?
Yes, that's like a typical contract for lawyers. Yeah, so like
yeah, I forget the name of it. I shouldn't forget it, but and I go, how does that work? He goes, well, if we win, I get 1/3 of what the profit is. And I go, well, what happens if we lose? He goes, you probably got to pay. And I said, well, I don't want to lose. Right as might. He goes, no, we won't lose.
Contingency.
There we go. Look, Brick Michael said contingency. Thank you.
Mark, you're good. A contingency. I said, okay, let's do it. I don't have to pay out anything until we win. Let's do it. Next thing you know, it's going on for about a year. And after 6 months, he tells me, look, it's costing me a lot. I gave him $10,000. And I said, here, this will help because he's a good guy. I've known him. Next thing you know, I ended up giving him another $5. After a while, he wants out. After a year, I go, well, what do I do? He goes, you should get yourself an attorney, someone else. That's when I hired. And
mid-surgery, you should find a doctor.
Lo and behold, when he left, I got billed $12,000 because they were sanctions against me because he didn't show up for one and lost another hearing type thing. So I had to pay. So now I'm out $20-something thousand. And next thing you know, I go to another attorney and a bigger one, and a friend of mine suggested. And I said, be honest with me. That guy that I had, he goes, Bobby, we're surprised he's not handing out his card at ambulances up at a hospital. He's a piece of shit. He's a lowlife. He's a bottom feeder. I go, oh, shit. Well, after I won the case with the attorneys, didn't win much, the copyright, he came back after me for 1/3 of what I got.
Are you
Oh, my God.
How did he get into your basketball game? That's what I want to know. Who brought him into the basketball game?
And 2 or 3 of the guys that they heard about this, they go, Bobby, when you go up for a basket, give him an elbow in the fucking head.
He's a slip and fall guy. I slipped down the pee-pee.
I know, and I know bad guys, and some bad guy. Bobby, we'll take care of that. But no, I saw The Godfather. I don't want to owe anybody.
This guy was with Frank Sinatra. You think he doesn't have a guy that can take care of that guy?
Right.
All right, we should wrap now because we're at over an hour, and we'll wrap now. But Bobby, stay on. Don't disconnect because we'll close out and then have a
Bobby
little.
doesn't know how to disconnect.
I know.
That's true.
Yeah.
Just hang
Wow,
out,
what do I press? Tommy.
folks. That's Drinks, Jokes, and Storytelling.